Hello. Now, very interesting postscript to the Pope's visit to Greece, because during that visit, and it was played quite early on in Turkish media, a cleric screamed at him from the street, heretic, or heretikos. Now, the cleric actually was wrong. Technically speaking, the cleric was wrong. No Greek cleric could claim that the Latin Pope was a heretic. They could possibly claim that he was a schismatic. The theological differences between the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church are quite few. I think they boil down to about 5 main principles, and all of those 5 principles can be reasoned through. There is actually very little to stop the Church of Rome and the Eastern Orthodox churches from reuniting, except for political and historical divergence. The authority of the Pope in Rome is one issue which is championed. Well, actually, the authority of the Pope in Rome is limited. The idea of infallibility is limited. And it's an authority that every bishop in the Orthodox Church would claim for himself. So that really isn't an issue. It's an issue to be negotiated. The idea of purgatory, which is an 11th century doctrine which comes into the Catholic Church but not the Orthodox Church, this again is something to be negotiated. Purgatory is a way for the Catholics to pray for the souls of the dead. But the Orthodox Church believes that the gates of hell have been broken, and there are people in the Orthodox Church who would claim that hell is effectively empty or will be empty at the end of time. In other words, for Catholic purgatory, read Orthodox hell. There are the other big sticking issue is a thing called the Filioque, which appears in the Creed. I believe in the Holy Spirit who proceeds from the Father and the Son. These are words which were seemingly added by the Catholic tradition to deal with the rise in Arianism in Spain. This wasn't a problem for the Orthodox, who were dealing at the time with their own problem of iconoclasm, which Catholicism never really dealt with. And does this change the theology of the Trinity? There are many Orthodox scholars who would say that it does, that it makes the Spirit into very much a lesser being. But equally, there are also many people who would say this is just wordplay and a quibble about, in English, 3 words, in Latin 1. So, for a Greek cleric to scream heretikos is itself slightly shocking, and I think suggests that the Greek cleric himself subscribes to a form of heresy anyway, which is supernationalism. Now, nationalism in the Orthodox churches was condemned in the 19th century in Constantinople, a council. It was condemned later in Greece in this century. In Serbia, the Serbian archbishop condemned it out of hand as being something completely unacceptable. And the Albanian archbishop, the head of the Albanian, the head of the Serbian church, and the head of the Greek church in the past have all condemned it. However, it didn't stop Archbishop Christodoulus, who was archbishop from the late 1990s through to the early part of this century. He was an unrepentant nationalist. He was the person who stood up and said, if you are Greek, you are Orthodox. If you are Orthodox, you are Greek. What complete bosh. Also, when I approached him and asked him for his help, he went on national television that night and said, Oli Turki ni varvari, all Turks are barbarians. This was a hideous leadership and utterly heretical. So if there are any heretics in the Greek clergy, they have been led astray by this particular rather fiendish archbishop who died in 2004 or something, 2005. But clearly his spirit lingers on. So I'm appalled. I was appalled to hear this story, and I was appalled to see the footage. So there we are. Do subscribe to the channel and do ring the bell.